Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time, thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Welcome. Actually, Chris Williams sitting in for Steve Arterburn today. And welcome. We love that you're with us. And I love that I'm with two remarkable people and brilliant therapists, Dr. Alice Benton.
Hi, folks. Glad to be with y'all.
And Dr. Sheri Keffer.
Hey, it's good to be with you too. And you are like sitting in the middle of two women in red. That's
yes.
good.
Yes. And
we had our power color on today because we're going to have some powerful conversations.
Absolutely. I got a little red, which I very
we got
rarely,
the memo.
Yes, that's awesome. Well, I am very excited today, but I want to start off with this idea of emotional freedom. So we're not free from emotion. That's not emotional freedom. That's actually emotional bondage. But what are the things that keep us from experiencing emotional freedom?
Keep us from experiencing it?
So as I say, sometimes we live apart from our emotions. Sometimes we live enslaved to our emotions. But how do we live well with our emotions? And what keeps us from that?
So I think if we live well with our emotions, we realize, and I know this probably sounds counterintuitive, but from my own journey, is I used to avoid the negative emotions and push them as far away from myself as I could. And I think once I started realizing that if I felt them, if I actually dove into that emotion and allowed it to wash over me, I still had my legs and my arms and my body parts attached. I didn't lose my life, right? I felt it. And I think that gave me more bravery to just lean into them when they're there. Because if we avoid them, we really don't heal. It's like, when you have the stomach flu, part of how you heal from the stomach flu is by getting it out.
Yes.
And it's the same way in our emotional world. We've got to get those emotions out before we can really have the relief that we're looking for.
And even learn to identify them. I was ignorant for a long time about my negative emotions, and I stayed busy enough to not have to deal with them. I didn't even know I was doing all of that, but learning to name them and then get help for those that are out of our control or that are too distressing and we can't resolve them. That does lead us to the emotional freedom that you teach at the workshop.
Yeah, because what you both are speaking to is something that I had to learn. I'm still learning today, in that our emotional experience is actually a muscle. And that I didn't build muscles for sadness. I didn't build muscles for anger because I didn't allow myself to experience them. And by avoiding them, when they did show up, ironically, I was dominated by them. So I couldn't live with the emotional experience until I built the muscle for them. By what you were saying, Sheri, is learn to experience it, let it be what it is, build the language to identify it, as you were saying, Alice, and then figure out what to do with it.
I think this is where young boys and men get the bad rap. I mean, so we're kind of, I think boys are more socialized to just, don't cry and you're fine. And a little girl, when she cries, oh, boo-boo, people kind of lead in. And so I think that ends up kind of as men, little boys grow up into young men and then young men into older men. They haven't really had the opportunity in a safe place to exercise those muscles. They may have a lot of bulk on their body, but they haven't really had the practice.
And that's it. We got to redefine emotional strength, not as emotional avoidance, but being able to actually deal well with them. We will be in studio for 2 hours today, so give us a call, 1-800-229-3000. Again, 1-800-229-3000. Speaking of emotional health, we have the Emotional Freedom Workshop online August 14th. If you're struggling, sign up for it, and we'll be back right after this.
I came into this thinking that my husband was the cause of many of our issues.
The New Life Intimacy and Marriage Workshop is coming to Washington, D.C., July 23rd to the 25th.
But after learning about our attachment styles, I understood how our past hurts were playing into our present problems.
Join Steve Arterburn.
It's been a dream of mine for a long time to help people to grow more intimately together, and we believe that everybody has room to grow in the intimacy level of their life.
And Mylan and Kay Yurkovich.
We help couples understand how their attachment style is sabotaging their current relationship. And then we teach them how to create comfort in a relationship.
And New Life's group counselors will help you focus on the area that will benefit your marriage most. To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Here at this workshop, we had our first ever conversation without yelling, blaming, and accusing.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. Again, Chris Williams sitting in for Steve Arterburn today, and we're going to go straight to the phones. We're going to go to Helen in Manitoba, Canada, listening on our podcast. So, love that we have Canada with us today. So, Helen, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's beautiful here.
That's great to hear.
But I have a question.
Okay.
How do I learn to stay present better?
That's a great
I
question.
struggle with the tension between people, especially now during COVID. It's really, really intense sometimes, where people are so polarized at opposite extremes. And so then there's the tension, whether it's at work or church or family. I find I just want to get away from it.
Yeah. And I'll start off just real quickly, is that when we live on the extremes, there is an intensity with that and what we call a binary. It's like sort of an either or and a not a both and. So in the extremes, there's not grace and room and space and for differing types of perspectives and ideas. And so that becomes an unsafe place because disagreement is not looked as a different point of view. Disagreement's looked at as a threat. And that's what makes it unsafe. So it would make sense to me that you couldn't stay present in a place where you didn't feel safe.
And Helen, when people around you are disagreeing, what's the strongest distressing emotion you usually have?
I would probably be threatened, uncomfortable for sure, like just...
And anxiety, I would guess.
Yeah, I think, yes, it would be anxious too.
And you probably learned pretty young, maybe in a home that felt threatening, that moving away from it and protecting yourself was the best route to deal with it. Is that right?
Well, it was definitely a culture of avoiding conflict.
Mm-hmm.
You know what can happen in those cultures where you've grown up avoiding conflict is the very nature of conflict in and of itself brings tension, and that doesn't feel great in our body. I feel for you. We all just celebrated Mother's Day, right? Or many of us did, and we had some polarization in our family, and one person who had decided to host Mother's Day had these COVID rules, like there had to be tests, there had to be shots, there had to be, they listed the COVID rules, and they said if these are things that you're not willing to do, then you're not able to come. Well, then there was other people in the family that had different ideas of what they wanted to do with COVID. And so sadly, there was this split between the COVID rule home and then the COVID, not compliant home. and we had to split Mother's Day. Do you get that? Does that ring true?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it breaks my heart what's happening with this, because I think people are choosing sides, and it feels like we're getting further away. And I know for me, Helen, what I had to do is I just had to hold on to myself. I had to realize that tension was going to be there, but I also had to not take up an offense towards the folks that had different decisions than I did around that. And then what I did is I chose to stay present and gathered in the chair I was in. I chose to stay present and gathered in the conversations that were around our table. I just chose to be there, and I had to let go of, not worry about, and not try to fix what was happening in that other place, because I can't do more than that. Right? I have to not take offense, but then I have to accept the fact that there's going to be people that don't see things the same way.
So, Helen, your work will probably entail getting help, structured help for your anxiety, because the current conflict is probably touching on the old conflict that you grew up around. So there are probably a lot of unresolved traumatic experiences that you went through that need to be talked about and processed and grieved, so that today you can stay calmer no matter what is happening around you. And the other part to that is developing strong boundary muscles so that you can be with people who disagree with you, but you can stay firm and calm with your own convictions.
That sounds good.
Yeah, that's great. There's three things that I think about in these situations, because again, as you're experiencing, as Sheri was talking about, this polarization is getting so toxic. But I think it also requires us to, if you'll stay with me on this term, grow up. And what I mean by grow up is grow into ourselves well as grow into relationships. So when I find myself in these situations, I try to practice three things. The first thing is acceptance. And Sheri talked about that. It's like, I accept who they are and what they believe, but I also accept who I am and what I believe. Because one, I can't change what they believe or what they think or even their opinion of me. The second thing is the application of grace. And grace says it could be different, but we are still children of God. We are still loved. We are still valuable beings on planet Earth. And then, but the last one, which seem contradictory, but it's not. It's just a little bit different that we have to hold, and that is, what is true? What do I believe is true? I don't have to sacrifice what I believe to be true to fit in, or to be okay, or to be accepted by somebody else. Because really, if we look at it, if I can't show up authentically, then to be accepted, what I get is a cheap form of acceptance. It's not true acceptance. And so if we can learn to go into these situations, again, with acceptance, grace, and truth, I think that we can walk out better in our own skin, regardless of what other people think or do or say.
You know, when I hear you, Chris, I think about how Jesus was actually killed for not polarizing,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
I mean, he would go into a leper colony and love on people. He healed on the Sabbath. He would touch people and do things, advocated for women when they were property. I mean, it's crazy to watch our Savior move in a polarized time and to see what happened to him because he decided to not take sides.
Yes.
He was loving. And I think he lived with that constant tension, but just chose to rise above it, to give grace, give love, and accept people and not get caught up in the, black and white of it all.
He really is our example. Truly the third and alternative and best way. Yeah.
Helen, we've got that Emotional Freedom Workshop coming up in August. We were just talking about it at the start of the show, August 14th. Please check it out. It would be a great way to launch into this process of dealing better with your anxiety and that tension around you.
Thank you so much.
And Helen, thank you for calling in. We're actually going to send you the Emotional Freedom Workbook, and that is just a great guide, and like I said, workout guide, so that you can grow in your strength and in your relationship to your own emotional well-being and health. And so again, thank you for calling in today, and please enjoy that beautiful day in Canada. So again, we're going to be in the studio for 2 hours today. Give us a call, 1-800-229-3000. We want to connect with you, talk with you, and most importantly, help you with whatever you're struggling with today. So now let's go to Christina in Dallas, Texas, listening on KWRD. Christina, you're there.
Yes, I am. Thank you so much for taking my call.
No problem.
I have a question. I'm seeing my trauma therapist today, and I was hoping to get perspective on what I need to be focusing on. I woke up in the middle of the night with just like this panic attack, and my dad passed away back at the first of the year with COVID.
Aww.
And then I started seeing somebody, and then he was pursuing me high and heavy, and we were Christians, and it was going wonderful. Well, then he lost his mom, and now he's backed off from me, so I feel abandoned. I've been sexually assaulted several times in my life at gunpoint when I was in high school.
Wow.
With the COVID, and I woke up feeling like I've searched my whole life for happily ever after, and it's not coming, and is that even a reasonable expectation? And then my sister, after my dad passed away, she got upset that I was the executor and came over to my dad's house and took a bunch of stuff. And so she's, there's anxiety there. With my trauma therapist, I've been working on, I love my dad, but he was the most critical person in my life, and I could never do anything good enough. So I've been working on that. But I'm just wondering if I should be focusing on something else. Like I said, I woke up in the middle of the night and just felt the world was just crumbling. It's like there's no stability in anything.
Yeah.
Christina, why don't you trust your judgment about what you intend to bring to your therapist? And before you answer, I'll add that you just gave us a very concise bullet point of what you're struggling with and what you have been through. You did it well. It was very clear. It was informative. Why don't you trust that you'll be able to do that well with your therapist?
Well, I hate to, like I said, I love my dad, but it was just never good enough, and so my whole life if you ask anybody else, they would say I'm loving, giving, I celebrate people, I'm the cheerleader in everybody else's life. But I feel like inside I'm a mess.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't get to the right issue at the right time with your therapist, what are you worried will happen?
Well, they restructured my job, and so I lost half my income. I'm lucky they they let go 2/3 of our workforce, but I kept my job. But I can only go see her once a month now, and so I'm just trying to see what I really need to focus on.
Makes it so hard. I know I have had clients, lose jobs or restructure, and there's a conversation that might be able to be had. And in light of the fee structure, there's sometimes therapists, and I'm not going to put your therapist in this category, but that will slide their fee down, right, during a difficult time so that maybe you can come in a couple times a month. Because it sounds like there's so much that you need to talk about that one time a month feels like you're holding your breath. Mm-hmm. Until you can actually let some of it out. And it is so common, just so you know, I can't even tell you how many folks, when they're coming
mm-hmm.
into me that day, will wake up and they'll have a dream the night before. They'll feel disrupted before they know they're coming in, because it's a sacred dumping ground, and they're kind of preparing for that, letting out stuff. So that's very normal, but it sounds like you may need more. It sounds mm-hmm. like that there are so many things that adding at least another session a month might help. So it takes a lot of bravery, right, to ask for that. It takes bravery to not worry about what your therapist is going to think, but just to come to them with your need and to ask for some
mm-hmm.
help.
And you might consider adding a group to the individual work you're doing with your therapist so that you have multiple outlets and touches with other people who are loving and accepting of what you're going through.
It's a great idea,
Yeah.
Alice. Yeah, like maybe a grief group would be, because there's a lot of them that are free. They're virtual and they're free. There's no charge. But you've had so much loss, my dear. You've had so many layers that it's a great idea.
Well, Christina, you are carrying a lot. You're feeling that chaos inside of you. And I just want you to know that you are doing better than your chaos is telling you.
We can all hear that.
We can hear that. So, but we do want you to get the help. So I do want you to listen to what Alice and Sheri are telling you, because there is help for this. Advocate with your therapist. Have a conversation with them and talk about what are some solutions, because you need the help that you need. We're also going to send you a copy of the Emotional Freedom Workbook. Our Emotional Freedom Workshop could help you, and we have scholarshipping for that as well. And we'll be back right after this.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn from New Life Live, and Chris Williams and I are doing the Emotional Freedom Workshop. A lot of people are you could literally say, in bondage from past trauma that has created an emotional web that they don't understand, and it prevents them from being free. A person that loses their temper regularly is not emotionally free. Someone who has anxiety just to get in the car and leave the house is not emotionally free. And walking around with the shame from a childhood or even a bad relationship as an adult, that is not emotional freedom, and we can help you get there.
The New Life Emotional Freedom Online Workshop is Saturday, August 14th. Steve Arterburn and Chris Williams will present information on the power of our emotions, procrastination, guilt and shame, and more. And small group leaders will help you process the information you learn. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or register online at newlife.com.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I did go to Take Your Life Back. That's why I continue to support the ministry with the hope that not only am I helping my own situation, that I'm helping others as well.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of the 8 books in the Arterburn Wellness series, including Understanding and Loving a Person with Bipolar Disorder and Understanding and Loving a Person with Narcissistic Personality Disorder. Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. Again, Chris Williams in the studio for Steve Arterburn. We got Dr. Sheri and Dr. Alice with us today, and we're on a roll. So let's keep it going. Let's go to Angie in Lady Lake, Florida, and she is connected to us through our YouTube channel. And by the way, you can check out our YouTube channel. Just search New Life Live, and you can find all kinds of content and popular topics there. And so check us out on YouTube, just like Angie is doing. So Angie, how can we help you today?
Thank you for taking my call. My question is, can 2 bipolar people have a relationship?
And so that's a great question, but give us a little bit of background. What's going on here?
Well, I'm a vacillator. He's an avoider. We can trigger each other like nobody's business. And so, is it even possible for that to even happen? I mean, I don't know. That's why I'm calling.
Tell us about both of your willingness to do the work it takes to become more of a secure connector.
I am willing. I've just checked out the Renew Summit and I'm getting some amazing information and have gotten some resources from y'all as well. He seems kind of such an avoider that, anything that we go to talk about, it's a confrontation. So, and I know there's some history there with, we all carry a Santa bag of stuff. And I just don't know if I want to, I don't know if delve into it is the right word. I don't want to push into anything anymore in my life because I've made so many bad decisions in my healing process.
So Angie, just as a point of clarification, were you and the person you're with, were you guys diagnosed with bipolar disorder?
Yes, we are on medication. Both of us are.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But you've identified in your attachment styles that you're a vacillator and he's an avoider.
Yes.
Well, looks like you guys are already doing some pretty good work there.
Well, I think I am. I'm not so sure about him. Or maybe I've got my expectations too high.
Well, you might want to look at that as a vacillator. However, what I think is the pathway for you guys is fear. Because fear is blocking this, right? He has a fear about going into hard conversations, fear about getting closer, fear about what all this means. And this is the kind of explosive nature of the vacillator and avoider, is he's probably terrified that he's going to disappoint you because you're coming in with expectations and you live with a lot of disappointment. And you're probably terrified that he's going to be one more person in your life that will disappoint you and leave you with a heartache.
Angie, I get the sense that he's willing to get medication. He got to a diagnosis, so his foot has been in the healing path, but he's not as dedicated to it as you are. You're willing to go all the way, and you don't think he's willing to go all the way with the therapy he'll need to deal with this. Is that correct?
Yes.
So we all bring our own version of brokenness into relationships, and I didn't know to look for the willingness and the effort and the participation in structured healing to deal with that brokenness. I didn't know to look for that in my own romantic relationships. So I think your answer lies in part in what you see him doing now and what he's willing to do before making a commitment to marriage, because that will be so telling of whether or not he wants to fully engage in the process it will take for you to be able to manage this relationship.
It's interesting. I often see the vacillator avoiders in our office. Those are kind of our classic couple clients that come in because they're struggling, right? And I see vacillators like a sun. Like the sun, if you look really close to a sun, you'll see all this, passion and volcanic activity, lots of emotions, lots of desires, lots of hopes and expectations. And then their, partner, the avoider, comes in and they're like the moon. They're kind of calm and stable and rockish and not so like sunnish, But this is the deal, is the moon finds its attraction to the sun. The moon wouldn't even be lit up like it is lit up if it's not in the presence of the sun, right? But this is the deal. I think because the vacillator feels so internally chaotic, so disrupted, so in their own sunshine, sort of passionate way and idealistic way, we're attracted to that very stable, rockish kind of avoider that feels safe to us. But what we find on the side of permanence and marriage is we feel alone. We overwhelm them. They don't know what to do with all of us, and we can feel really disconnected and left alone. And that would be my main concern for you, because you're just dating this person, and I want you to feel him today and to ask yourself a very honest question. What is it about me that's choosing to stay with someone who's not able to offer more to this relationship? Am I there because I feel, he's a rock and it makes me calm down? Or am I there because I don't really know where else to go?
Yeah. So we will come right back to you after this, Angie. Just hold on.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit its addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again.
You seem to be able to get to the crux of a problem quickly.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for you and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-639-5433.
We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live, and we're talking with Angie from Lady Lake, Florida. And Angie, your original question was, can two bipolar people have a relationship? And what you're able to identify, I think, is a better question. Can a vacillator and an avoider build a relationship, a significant, loving, committed relationship?
Yeah, without the vacillator actually playing a game of whack-a-mole with the avoider. Like, yes. Come on, right? Because that's what happens.
Yes,
you know?
Yeah, and what's common in this dynamic is what we call the pursuer and the withdrawer. So the more that you feel him withdrawing from you, the more anxious you get and the more you will pursue him. However, on his side, as Sheri was saying about that overwhelming nature, the more that you pursue him, the more anxious he gets and the more he withdraws. And that actually creates what I call this whirlpool that circles the drain. You know, this relationship's going down the drain, but it's really painful. The truth of the matter is this relationship could work, but it can only work if both people go all in. Mm-hmm. And so that becomes, I think, that really critical piece that Sheri was asking you about, like, hey, listen, is this worth it for me if I don't see him go all in? And so just like a pleaser, I can't hide behind my pleasing. An avoider can't hide behind their vacillator. Behind their avoiding a vacillator can't hide behind their vacillation if they're looking to build a significant relationship. We got to get to work on these things. So Angie, I hope that's helpful for you. We are going to send you a copy of 2 books. You probably, sounds like you already have How We Love, but we're going to send you another copy of that, as well as Understanding and Loving a Person with Bipolar Disorder from the Arterburn Wellness package. And so that will be very helpful to just kind of understand yourself, understand him on those layers. The other thing I want to mention is that our Intimacy in Marriage workshop is not just for married couples. this would be a great kind of, I think, litmus test. Alice was talking about that at the break. Is he willing to go to the Intimacy and Marriage Workshop? And that will be July 23rd through the 25th in Washington, D.C. And again, willing to do these sort of things is really showing us what a priority the relationship is, not just in the short term, but the long term as well. So, Angie, thank you so much for calling in. And I want to talk a little bit right now about this matching gift. $459,000 needs to be matched for us to continue to do what we do well. Now, here is some great news. We are 53% of the way there.
That's incredible.
It is absolutely incredible. Thank you, New Life listeners and followers, for contributing. But I want to ask you two today, what is the impact of people's giving? What are the stories that we have? Because people gave, how have lives been changed and transformed?
Two things come to mind for me. How many of you all listeners have told us that listening to the show is the first and only experience with therapy that you have had, and you can come and receive this Monday through Friday for free and anytime online. And it costs a great deal to be on air. And so your support allows us to be therapists, basically, for those listeners who maybe can never get into the office with a therapist face-to-face. And the other one is the scholarships that folks have received to be able to come to our workshop and participate in our ongoing groups afterwards. That generosity has also enabled people to show up that would not have been able to do it on their own. It's a multiplication of the grace because of the generosity of you folks out there.
Well, I just think about a couple that came. They actually came through the couples workshop that we did. Come to find out that he had untreated bipolar disorder.
Wow.
And so ended up, getting his brain sorted out, and then went to Every Man's Battle workshop, and his wife got encouragement as well. And now, they're, I think, 5.5 years sober, and they are now advocates for folks that are going through betrayal and sex addiction. And it's crazy how that entry point, people come in and then they get the care they need, and then their lives can be really turned around.
Yeah. And what you're saying, Alice, is like we provide accessibility to really important and critical issues from experts that you may not get anywhere else. And Sheri, what you're saying as well is that there is a ripple effect to your giving. I read this research. I actually don't know how accurate it is, but I'm going to go with it. And that was the Hazelden Foundation said for every addicted person who gets sober, 8 lives are positively transformed or positively affected.
I believe that.
Right?
I mean, even if we just look at our kids,
Yes.
right, and grandkids, I mean, that's in and of itself, it's a generational change.
Absolutely. So I would say for every person that experiences the hope and healing in their life's hardest places as a result of New Life, how many more lives are impacted by that? So we are asking that you would continue to bring loaves and fishes that Jesus will continue to multiply. We got to get this matching gift by the end of May. And so could you give any amount? And if you do any amount that you give, you'll receive Dave Stoops' book, You Are What You Think. And so I really encourage you, and I really encourage you to read that book, because it really helps us grab a hold of how our thought life impacts every other area of our life. So give to us, and
every dollar is $2.
Exactly.
For the next couple weeks.
Every dollar is multiplied, and then again, what we see God do with that multiplication is absolutely incredible. And what you're doing is you are partnering with us to continue to transform lives. And so with that, and by the way, give us a call, 1-800-229-3000. We're going to be in studio today for 2 hours. And so if you have a hard place in your life that you need some hope and healing for, give us a call. Again, 1-800-229-3000. And we are going to go to Monica in Dallas, Texas. Monica, are you there?
Yes, I am.
How are you doing today?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Good, thanks.
How can we help you?
Well, thanks for taking my call. My question is, how can I really trust God more and stop being paralyzed by fear, worrying, and lack of faith?
Oh, that's a great question. So let me follow up with that. Yeah. And so let me ask a very basic question. What are you afraid of?
Everything. I mean, I'm just paralyzed by fear and worrying all the time. And I'm 52. I've been a Christian for 30 years, and I feel like I haven't grown in my faith at all. And I'm married to a man that has spiritual gifts of faith, so that's my mirror, and it's just very evident. And so, I think some basic things. I'm fearful that I'm not really saved. Because of that. I have a fear of death. I worry about situations all the time that are outside of my control, and I just waste so much time and energy worrying. I'm completely worn out.
And what have you done? Have you done anything to address this constant worry and anxiety in your life?
I just pray about it constantly and ask God to forgive me constantly for not trusting Him. And I try to acknowledge that I know I need to focus on God's character, who He is, and not what I see going on, because what I see going on maybe makes me more fearful.
Yes, yeah.
So, I feel like I know what the root is of all of this, but I don't know how to grow.
Let me ask you, what do you think the root is in all of this?
I think the root is growing up in a Jehovah's Witness family where you've had no security of your salvation.
Yeah. So, so let me go.
Go ahead.
Yeah, let me jump in for time's sake. And so, Monica, yes, because you revealed it to us by saying you're constantly praying for forgiveness. You're praying for something that you already have, but it hasn't kind of gotten on the inside. And one of the things that we experience in these highly controlled, especially religious environments, is that there is no connection. And so we're looking to increase your connection to yourself, to others, to God, that reaches beyond control, beyond you being good or bad, right or wrong, but just simply you being loved. And so we're going to come back after the break, and we're going to talk a lot more about this. Sheri and Alice are going to help you with this, because this is really, really important. I'm so glad that you called today. There are many of us out there struggling with tremendous amounts of anxiety. And anxiety is tough. I call it one of the stickiest mental health issues that we can deal with. But the good news about it is that there is help for anxiety, and there's a lot of things that we can do. And so stay with us, and we'll come back right after this, and we'll help you with your anxiety.
I feel blessed to have had this opportunity for my needs to be met, connecting with other women who are fighting the same fight, hoping for healthy marriages and growing closer to the Lord on their journey.
My name is Sheri Martinkus, and I want to personally invite you to the Restore Workshop. If you have been affected by betrayal, it might be that your husband has been looking at pornography, it might be an emotional, physical affair. I would love for you to come join us.
I feel encouraged and hopeful that even in my struggle, I am enough.
You will leave with hope, with a community of sisters ready to support you, and you will also leave with tools to move you forward on this journey.
Through the sharing in our small group, I realize that I am not alone.
Please don't hesitate. Pick up the phone, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. I would love to see you there.
The Restore Workshop is coming to Dallas, Texas, June 25th through the 27th. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I turned on New Life, and the topic that day was about anxiety. And just by listening, I got relief.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of the 8 books in the Arterburn Wellness series, including Understanding and Loving a Person with Depression and Understanding and Loving a Person with Alcohol and Drug Addiction. Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. We're talking with Monica in Dallas, Texas, and just struggling with a lot of fear to the point where it's paralyzing. And so, Sheri, what are you thinking?
Well, hey, Monica, I am just hearing you and trying to do my best to put my feet in your moccasins for a moment. I thought, wow, what that was like to grow up in a home where there's Jehovah Witnesses, and realizing that that faith, which your parents participated in, was really a performance compliance culture. And so I imagine growing up, you felt in your own family separate from the faith, right? Separate from Jehovah Witnesses, it was probably a very performance-based home, meaning I am loved if I do what's expected of me. I am loved if I perform a certain way. The more things I do that are good, those things make you happy. And we can take that structure in our family and we can do what's called a projection onto God, kind of like a projector, a film projector. If you go into a movie theater, you know, they've got the reel running in the back, but it's projecting onto the screen up front, and everybody's sitting there watching popcorn. But whatever that projector wants to put on that screen is what we're all watching. Well, I think you've done that with God. You've projected onto God the same qualities, toxic as they may be, onto how God feels about you. And that's why it's hard for you to rest in his love for you, to rest in the security of your salvation. It says in the Bible, it says all the gifts and callings of God are irrevocable. So salvation's a gift, and irrevocable means he doesn't give it back to you. Like you have it. But if you were to believe that God was different from your mom and dad and different from your church, and that really he's got you, and you were to start projecting the truth of who he is, it might really help you see him for who he really is. Does any of that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does. It makes total sense, and I've analyzed that a lot over the years.
So this is the difference between analyzing and absorbing. So now that you've analyzed it, right, and I think you have, what is keeping you from absorbing that truth into your core?
Well, I had a major setback. I was really growing in my 20s and 30s, and when I was about 39, my sister passed away suddenly, and as far as I know, she's died as a non-believer, and I prayed for her, and I just don't know why God would let her go to hell, and so I just felt like bad things happen, which I know, and I know I have to trust God with her eternal fate. It's just, I think, why do I even pray for anybody if that's going to happen?
Monica, that would rock anyone's faith. And so it's very reasonable that you would question what kind of a God. That's reasonable. You're trying to fight your grief and your anxiety basically in isolation between you and God and your constant quiet prayer to God. But that's not his way of resolving grief. His way is that we receive comfort from other people, and we regularly bring our fear, our grief, and even our ongoing sin pattern, because you keep sinning, as I do too, and that keeps you in fear of your own loss of salvation. But when we update our information with what the New Testament really says about salvation, and we bring ourselves into relationship, we reveal our vulnerabilities as you're doing here with us regularly, weekly, we start to receive the reassurance of the kind of God our God really is, but it has to come through regular touches with relationship.
You know what's interesting, Monica? Thank you for your honesty, because this is what I'm hearing. Why do I even pray if bad things happen? You know what that is in its purest form? And this might not feel good, but I really want to help you. And you know what that is? It's control.
Mm-hmm.
It's control.
Okay.
Yeah.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Yeah. And so when we have fear and control issues, those supersede rest. Those supersede reality. It's like you're trying to control God's job. And you will never find peace there, my dear, because we can't control. Do you know, I so relate. My brother, as you may have heard, he committed suicide in the week of Christmas. And I'm telling you.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. That loss rocked my world, just like the loss of your sister. And again, it threw me into a place where I was questioning my brother, questioning what I did, questioning what God thought about it. I know a lot of people have opinions about suicide, and some people would even say that he's not going to be in heaven, right? All these people are trying to say what the ultimate outcome is going to be for my brother's life. And you know who I have to trust? Who?
Yeah.
Who?
You have to trust God.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, because I'm not God. I can't control God, and I couldn't control my brother. But until I release that control to the entities that have responsibility there, God is God, and my brother has choices, I was in distress. Now I'm grieving, but I have had to release myself from control. And that's the only way I've found peace.
Yeah, that's really, really good, Sheri, and a really hard task that other people can help us with as well. And so, like you were saying, Alice, getting into a grief group, I think, would be really, really important. And Monica, there's actually the legacy of Dave Stoop that I'm thinking about. He guided us in these areas that we struggled so much in: fear, insecurity, and control. And so we're going to send you 2 of his books. We're going to send you Forgiving What You Cannot Forget. And it really is this amazing primer that helps us move into greater integration of God's forgiveness in our life. And also, your thoughts are working against you. Your mind is working against you, not for you. And so we're going to send you a copy of his book, You Are What You Think. And again, it will really help you, what I call, grab these thoughts that are unhealthy and damaging to us and start to work with them and flip those around. We'd definitely encourage you to get into a great counselor to help you guide through this grief process, but also help you wake up to greater connection. Because my prayer for you is that you have experienced very imperfect love, if it's love at all. But I pray that you will experience the perfect love that drives out fear, that 1 John is promising us or asking us to enter into, and that Sheri was guiding you towards. So Monica, thank you so much for calling in today. Thank you for being with us. Everyone, thank you for being with us. Again, we're going to be in the studio another hour, so if you want to give us a call, 1-800-229-3000. And we ask that you have a great day, and we'll see you on the next show.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.